Hello everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies, and Paramount went ahead and finally dropped the first trailer for Scream 7, a movie that has been pretty controversial within not only the Scream franchise, but within the horror genre, because of what the studio Spyglass did. Nonetheless, we are getting the seventh movie, and what I'm going to be doing in this video is giving you guys my honest thoughts on this trailer, and talk about some things that they went ahead and revealed in this trailer and what they held back on. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below if this trailer managed to convince you to go see Scream 7 after all the controversy that went down. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so a lot of things were riding on this trailer because fans still remember when Spyglass went ahead and wrongfully fired Melissa Barrera from Scream 7, essentially meaning that we would not get the conclusion of the Carpenter sisters storyline, because yes, they did also get rid of Jenna Ortega. So this movie has already faced a lot of backlash, and Spyglass and Paramount are going to be doing everything to make sure people end up going up seeing this movie, which is why we got the return of Neve Campbell and Kevin Williamson as the director. But now, giving my opinion on this trailer definitely got me back to being fully excited for Scream 7. Yes, I did have some hesitancy with this movie after they fired Melissa Barrera, but from what I saw in this trailer, I definitely think that this movie is definitely going to be pretty good. Now, we were reported from Daniel RPK that this trailer would be coming out Thursday, but there was some rumors saying that it might not be because of the Stranger Things 5 trailer, but we did end up getting this trailer, and yeah, it was a pretty good trailer and definitely got me back to being fully looking forward to this movie. But the trailer does start off with the Stu Macher house, with a couple visiting that house, which is now an Airbnb. And this is actually said to be the opening scene of the movie, and we do get to see this couple interact with Ghostface, which turns out just to be an motion-censored animatronic, for ultimately the real Ghostface ends up showing up and killing off this couple. Now, like I mentioned, this is set to be the opening sequence for Scream 7, and I think it's pretty unique, not only because we're going back to the most famous place of the Scream franchise, the Stu Macher house, but it's also carried some legacy in the franchise since there was so much murders that happened in that house, from the original Scream to Scream 5. I also like this moment where the woman falls and Ghostface just turns around and has the knife pointed out ready to stab her. That's just a cool little shot right there. But later on, towards the end of the trailer, we get to see a continuation of this opening scene where this Ghostface killer is going to be burning down the original Stu Macher house. And I gotta say, this shot of Ghostface with the match is just so awesome. They even used that for the thumbnail, but it sucks that they're gonna be getting rid of the Stu Macher house just because it was such an iconic location with the Scream franchise, and it's also just a very cool looking house in itself. But people are saying that this will be a symbolic thing because this movie is going to put to rest those Stu Macher's alive theories. But I just also love the shot of Ghostface just walking out of the Stu Macher house. That is completely on fire. And I definitely think that this shot of Ghostface walking towards the camera away from the Macher house is going to lead into the title card sequence where we get Scream 7 and it just gets cut in half. That definitely seems like an awesome way to end off this opening sequence. From there, we move on to Neve Campbell returning as Sidney Prescott, now fully the main character of this movie. And we do get some insight on Sidney Prescott's life. She is living in a town called Pine Grove, which I think is a town in Texas, based off a Dallas sign. And she also has an older daughter in this movie, who's going to be named Tatum, as an honor and homage to Sidney Prescott's friend Tatum Riley, the sister of Dewey Riley, who died in the first Scream movie. And she also has a husband in this movie named Mark, played by animated Johnny Cage, Joel McHale, which I'm disappointed that it didn't end up being Mark Kincaid from Scream 3, but whatever. And we do get to see in the trailer Sidney Prescott getting the call from Ghostface, where we get to hear "Hello Sidney" again. And we do get to see Ghostface inside the home of Sidney Prescott, going after Sidney and her daughter Tatum, where we find out that Sidney has a safe room in her house that leads to a back portion of the wall, behind the wall, where we get to see Ghostface tap his knife on the wall to see if anyone is inside those walls before ultimately just stabbing the wall. Like, I think that's gonna be like a fun and interesting sequence in this movie. Now, from this trailer, it seems like that Sydney's husband, Mark, is gonna end up dead in this movie because we do get to see a shot in the trailer with the character of Mark investigating something with Ghostface in the background before Ghostface ultimately strikes at him. So it looks like maybe that the husband isn't Ghostface at all, but then again, we did find out that the character of Quinn from Scream 6 faked her death, so it could be possible there, but I would not want Sydney's husband to be the Ghostface of this movie. We do get a look at some potential suspects in this movie with Celeste O'Connor, who you might remember from Madam Web, and McKenna Grace, who is actually going to be in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 coming out this December. Before then, we get to see the return of Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, along with Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown as the Meeks twins, the only characters from Scream 5 and 6 that will be returning in Scream 7. Now, it does seem like that Chad is going to be working with Gail Weathers, where it be an internship at her news company, and we do get to see that both Chad and Mindy are going to be having an encounter with Ghostface in this movie, and I'm curious if they're going to end up killing off the Meeks twins in this movie, because I would want that to have happened if Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega were in the movie. Like, it would make those deaths more impactful if we had the characters of Sam and Tara in there, since they are part of the core four, but they're not in here, so it probably wouldn't be as well effective if they were in this movie. Now, I think another great scene that we do get to see in the trailer with Sydney and Tatum is at the scene where Sydney Prescott is away from home and Ghostface is inside the house. So she has to use her security cameras to help her daughter shoot down this Ghostface, which ultimately Tatum does, and Sydney goes ahead and tells her daughter to shoot for the head, which is something that you gotta do with the Ghostface killers because they ain't dead if you got a bullet in their head. I mean, that's why Dewey went back to shoot that Ghostface, which ultimately led to his death in Scream 5. But as to be expected, the Ghostface did survive because they presumably have a bulletproof vest on them. But alright, now going ahead and talk about the one thing that I was surprised that they went ahead and held back on, the showing off Matthew Lillard as Stu Macher, who we know is officially confirmed to be in this movie. Now, we only get one line of dialogue from Stu in this trailer.
This is gonna be fun.
And I was completely surprised that they went ahead and held back on showing Matthew Lillard in this trailer, because that would be the one thing that would get a lot of people interested in seeing this movie, not just because he's returning as one of the original Ghostface killers, but rather because Matthew Lillard is pretty popular right now, all because of him playing William Afton / Springtrap in the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. And yeah, he's also going to be in the next season of Daredevil Born Again that's coming out next year. But right now, he's just very popular in that role as William Afton / Springtrap for those Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And there are a lot of fans of the FNAF movies that would go to the theater to see Scream 7 once they found out that Matthew Lillard, aka William Afton, is in that movie. Now the question is Stu actually still alive? Did he survive that TV? Or is he a figment of the deepfake AI technology? Because there's speculation that this Ghostface killer in this movie could be using AI deepfake technology to try to taunt Sydney Prescott. Like, I actually vibe with that theory, and I think it fits pretty well, and I think it's a suitable explanation on how we'll also have Scott Foley return as Roman Bridger, who died in Scream 3, but also have David Arquette back as Dewey Riley, who died in Scream 5. Though this could be like a cheap use to get people to go to the theater and check this movie out after the whole controversy happened, I think that could be like a very plausible thing to do, especially since AI is very timely right now. But also it could be used with some real psychological horror in this movie. Like Ghostface using that technology to essentially bring back the people from Sydney's life who have died previously. That could be like some good like psychological torture to Sydney, and have her question whether or not these people are actually still alive or they're a part of this AI deepfake technology. And no, they did not use AI at all in this movie. They actually brought those actors back to play those roles. It's just that the Ghostface killer is gonna use AI deepfake technology in the movie, not really the people making the movie using AI. But that right now is just a theory, it's not confirmed. But it's rather interesting that they went ahead and hid away Matthew Lillard from this trailer, not even showing his face, just having his voice play towards the very end of that trailer. And there is a topic of discussion on whether or not it was actually a good idea to do all of this, or it's just Spyglass just doing all of this just because they lost so many fans who were interested in this movie after firing Melissa Barrera. Like, that definitely feels like why they brought back all these characters who have died previously in the franchise. But I just have faith in director Kevin Williamson because he was the one who created the Scream franchise and wrote that first movie, which I think is the best horror movie that I've ever seen. So I'm hopeful that he can go ahead and make all of this work out after everything that this movie has gone through, and I have all that faith in that director. Also, the poster that they went ahead and released is very awesome. Like, it's a cool poster, and I just love that the first poster for the last 3 Scream movies are just awesome looking. But that was my thoughts on the trailer for Scream 7. I'm actually very curious to hear from you guys on whether or not you're actually looking forward to this movie now after this trailer, or if some of you are still not looking forward to this movie after what Spyglass did with Melissa Barrera, which I totally understand that. But leave all of that down in the comment section along with your theories on what could be going down in Scream 7. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. And have a great day.